Room number 210, 302 and 106 are not our names. Yeah. 210.
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
District on 49 and 106 on the printer on 30th and 302. Already you are
Madam, start the session, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. We can start the session, ma'am.
I'm just asking. Can we go ahead? Or shall we wait for one more minute?
Yes, ma'am. You wanted to wait for a minute? Yes, ma'am. It's fine. Yeah, we can wait.
Yeah, shall I start?
Yes,
madam.
ma'am.
Please go ahead.
Okay. A very good afternoon to one and all. I'm Dr. Annapurna. I'm basically a professor in economics and HR. Presently, I'm working in Indian Academy Degree College, Bangalore. And I have totally about 23 years of teaching experience. And I'm very happy to be a moderator for this session. And talking about IMA is one of the largest networking bodies for B schools in the world. And we all know that, it is one of the most vibrant organization. And coming to the topic, I think our esteemed speaker today will be talking a lot about it. I'll just give a small introduction about the topic. If you see the total India's GDP today, according to the interim budget 2024, 6% of the total GDP is being allocated for education. It includes all the sectors of education. Coming to higher education, we all know that it is having a significantly positive impact on the growth. Okay, and the main purpose of this higher education is to create value proposition. Okay, in terms of purpose, value, and clarity among ourselves to build the leadership level in the academy. I know the session will definitely explore the importance of creating strong leadership identity with academic institutions and how it can influence career growth and institutional success. The aim of the session is to help the participants to learn strategies to enhance their leadership skills, build a professional brand, and make a meaningful impact in their respective fields. I know definitely the discussion will cover key aspects of personal branding, mentorship, role of thought leadership in academia. The section the session will be very ideal for today for the academic leaders looking for elevating their influence in effectiveness within the educational community. And coming to my esteemed speaker today, I'm very, very honored, Professor Y. Venkata Rao, sir, to introduce you. Okay, to talk about Sir. Sir is basically professor in Department of Tourism Studies and a Dean of Student Welfare at Pondicherry University. Sir comes with enormous wealth of experience in academy and leadership, and is known for his dynamic approach to student welfare and academic administration. Dr. Y. Venkata Rao has significantly contributed to the development of leadership skills among students and faculty alike. His insights on building a leadership brand in academia are informed by years of experience and dedication to fostering a positive academic environment. Sir, I heartily welcome you, sir, and I know you'll enrich our thoughts. And thank you, sir, for accepting the invitation. And it's an honor to listen to you. Thank you, sir. Now,
Thank you.
before the sir
Thank you, ma'am.
starts, I have certain instructions for all the participants. Please, I would like you all to adhere to the instructions. The number one is, please don't unmute yourself during the session time. You may use the Zoom chat icon to put your questions or to pin your questions or text your questions, which will be answered in the after the session is over in the Q&A session. Okay, and your feedback is very, very important. And the attendance link will be shared after the Q&A session, and it is available only for 15 minutes. So please, I request you all to enter your feedback, and your attendance thing will be taken there. Only people who fill the feedback will be eligible for the certificates. This is a small instruction for me, and I honor and ask you, Venkatra sir, please take over the session. Thank you once again.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for your
Thank you.
introductory remarks.
Thank you,
In
sir.
fact, in fact, you have completely given outline for my talk in your
Thank you.
introductory
Thanks a lot, sir.
remarks. Thank you. And at the same time, I am very much thankful to the leadership of IMAS, who gave me this opportunity to face our friends, academia friends. When I was asked to handle 1 hour session, it was just given time is just 40 to 45 minutes, and accordingly resized my presentation, and at the same time, uh, when I just look at complete the body of this IMAS, all academicians and our academic friends, keeping in mind our audience, and at the same time the developments that have been happening in recent past. So I thought, let me come out with a kind of topic which is very contemporarily relevant, and maybe somewhat adding little information to the participants. So that is the intention. With that, I just the coined the title as building leadership brands in academia. So when I see my the content of the presentation, so the second slide, so that shows that there are only three parts. We have around 40 minutes. So I'll be taking 10 to 15 minutes on each part. So we'll just see that how this particular the topic is the driven throughout, and what we can just take out from this out of my thoughts and then ideas on the selected topic. So if I just look at this, the three parts, of course, introductory part, why we look at the leadership in the present context in the academia and academic community. Then the second part is all about we see that how this leadership is related to academic in the present context, and how we can just see in the third part academicians as an individual industry, and we expect some leadership orientation in the in the academic functionary. So these are the three parts, and with that, let me look at the first part. The first part is all about looking at our economy. It is not new to all of us. We all know that our economy is very fastest growing, and which is emerging as one of the world the biggest economy, and in very soon we may just surpass our the competitors like Germany or even Japan, and we may just come to the first one, two, or three in these the positions as far as our economy size and then the speed of the economy is concerned. So this kind of economy and the academic community. So we need to look at academia in the present economic the conditions, and how we can just look at this particular economy and relating with our academic activities. So this is the one aspect. So when I look at the next slide, so there I see that this the present economy. If you see the one of the important the feature is we are moving towards service sector. In the service sector is largely based on knowledge, and at the same time we are just looking at knowledge society, the creations. So the knowledge society, we see that it is all about the creating a kind of the services which are largely based on informations, and then human the capabilities, and then the competencies. So in this no the segment, if you see the production factors which we just traditionally we look at our production factors, no now we are just redefining that, because the knowledge, the human knowledge and human no involvement is going to become the major the production factor as far as any kind of services are concerned. Because now if you look at the developed countries, we know that so their major the GDP segment is the services, starting from US or any other developed nations. Even we also, if you look at the last couple of decades, so where we see that our GDP is completely towards no, service sector, and service sector is day by day is increasing, and its share and then involving and the more and more its contribution to our Indian economy. So here the major role is the human resources, the human capital and intellectual capital, and this is supposed to be the created and then the generated in the educational institutions and various institutions and then campuses. So there you can see that the knowledge society and then educational institutions and importance of the skills, the development, and there again we can look at rightly the present government they came out with NEP, where you completely look at the thrust is on the skills. So skills development and then the course outcome is the main issue. So when we see that our the academic operations, where we look at our traditionally teaching and learning, so this particular teaching and learning is largely based on some kind of our earlier policies, starting from education, the British education policy 1835 onwards. If you see our complete the focus of education is completely based on the by hearting and then repeating whatever that we have memorized in our mind. So now we need to come out from that, and then we have to look at the completely skill orientations. So because the economy and thrust on the knowledge society, and then need of the classroom environment, where we have to focus on the skills among the students. So these are the certain areas. So when I look at the next slide, and it is very interesting, the knowledge economy, it is largely based on knowledge economy is based on the completely our education the system, and then our knowledge resources. So the knowledge resources, the creation required a kind of leadership orientation among the academicians. If you look at the top 10 knowledge economy, the trends in 2023 and even beyond that, we know that how actually AI is or generative AI is completely redefining our day-to-day operations, which includes the economic activities. So you can see that directly, indirectly, the knowledge involvement, and then our the economy interface with the human intellectuality. So that is further aligning, and then so we are just keeping in mind all these the developments and then essence of the leadership in academia. So we see that the universities are also changing their the functioning and then moving towards a kind of entrepreneurial universities. So in the entrepreneurial universities, the main thrust area is knowledge-based, no, the academic activities and the skill orientation, and thereby we can link up this with the economic activities of that particular nation. So if I see the next slide, in the next slide, so my dear the friends, education in India and the need of the leadership in academy. So based on this backdrop, if I look at our education system, even today also our enrollment at the higher education is 27.1%. Of course, we have a big target by 2035. So as per NEP 2020, we need to just take it to the 50%. It's a gross enrollment. Whereas if you look at the various other statistics, no, like higher education and 11th and 12th standard, even 10th standard, and even the schooling, elementary school. So where you can see the lot of enrollment is there, and then literacy is increasing, enrollment is increasing at the primary level, upper primary level, and secondary level, and even no higher no when you look at this higher education level, so our enrollment is very less. So where the teachers like us, those who are working in the higher education, especially in the management education, so we have seen that in management education also last couple of decades how the number is increasing, and then so MBA or any kind of management education, management, the degrees also became a kind of very quite common these days. But at the same time, so what is actually the degree and what is actually the skill set that are actually existing among the no, the graduates, that is the another the major issue that we need to look at. And then we have to realize no, importance of leadership when we are handling no, our day-to-day functioning as an academicians. And at the same time we have to keep in mind, so the beyond our the boundaries, so in the country or even in the society at large, so what are the things that are happening, we need to just keep those things in our mind, and then we need to work out our no, our no, the day-to-day activities as an academician. So that is one important aspect that I want to emphasize when you look at the education system and education in India. So when I see the next slide, so where it shows that how actually the employability of our graduates. I have been just following so Wheelbox Skill India report for last 10 years, and to our surprise, and we reach to at least 50% of employability the skills of our graduates. And but what about the remaining 50% of graduates who are no, completely lacking the skills that are required to be employed in various organizations and then various institutions or even in the industry also. So this is actually one the major area where we need to look at. So in one hand, so we have the targets as far as the nation is concerned. By 2047, we want to see our nation as a developed nations, right? And at the same time, when you look at our no, demographic dividend, so demographic dividend now we are in the no, the peak stage where we have larger number of working populations and young populations who are in the big challenges by 2040. So our aging population is going to increase. So when aging population is going to increase and working population will be reduced, so that means in the last no, the couple of years, whatever that youth force we have, so only 50% we have no, their contribution to our economy, and remaining 50%, so since they are out of employment and their role and involvement in economy is completely missing. But whereas if you look at our the target, and at the same time our no, the demographic dividend, so that will be there even for us in another 2-3 the decades only after 2040. As far as statistics are concerned, so our demographic dividend will be no, reduced, and then aging population will increase. So that means, so our country, if we want to see really as a developed nation, as an academicians, so what is our role in preparing our students as a skilled, no, the skilled manpower, and to just contribute for the economy. So here I just look at in the academic corridors when we are working as a professors or even as no, the mentors of our students. So how I need to look at from the leadership point of view. So that is the one important aspect that I want to just touch upon at this juncture. So when I see the next slide, so that shows that, so how is our education and literacy and then education standards, and where we are when we just look at our no, the level of standards when we compare with other the best universities and institutions across the globe. And we know that except IISc or even one or two IITs and even no, other than that, no, we don't have any much no ranking when we see the no world ranking of the higher education institutions. So at the same time, if you look at the BRICS countries, even among the 5 countries also, our literacy rate is lesser than the other 4 countries. Even South Africa literacy rate is better than us. So when we see that enrollment in higher education is not there, when we see that our employability of the graduates is not up to the mark, when we have all these the challenges as an academicians, what is our role, and then how we can just prepare our the students to fill all these gaps to move towards a kind of the vision that is there in front of all of us as proud Indians. So how we can achieve the target of developed nations. So for that, so as an academicians, so what kind of redefined roles we know we need to relook and then take up the new roles and new assignments with a completely reformatted thought process. So that is the one important aspect. So when I see the next slide, where so I just understand the universities in the knowledge economy. So because so when we see that the universities, institutions, or even the colleges, the UG level, so the teachers and the colleagues, how they are actually looking at the the complete the process of teaching, learning process, or even the research activities, how these things are happening, so that we need to look at. So when I see this one, the knowledge economy, no, and then universities supposed to no take up the complete a new role under the leadership of academicians. Because when you see that universities and institutions, so largely you'll find academicians are heading the institutions and universities, maybe vice chancellors or directors of IITs or even directors of the B schools. And then so these the so-called leaders, how they are just going to look at the complete no, their role in the society. So in the knowledge economy, if you see the society, it is completely knowledge the driven economy, a knowledge society. So it is completely towards the no, a kind of no, the marketplace where you can see that no, the universities are considered as a kind of the temples of the knowledge. And in the temples of knowledge, so when we see that, so our no, education and then knowledge are considered as the products. So whatever that we are actually no, the creating the graduates in our classrooms, so they're supposed to be kind of products. The products supposed to be without any defects and then usable with all required features. So when these things are no, the missing, so why they are missing, and what is our no, the linkage between the graduates and even aspirants who are actually going to become a graduate, and as a teacher, so what is my role in this in the given the circumstances. So there you can see that the perspective and then preoccupations and activities and then goals of the universities have the greatly changed in the time. So when we see the last the couple of decades now in the new the new era, especially in the digital age and digital no, digitalization the society, so we need to look at from all these directions, and then we need to work out with a new orientation, and then we need to look at the no, the leadership, how what extent it is going to meet the requirements. So when I see the next slide, interestingly, no, you can see no, the knowledge, the society, and the knowledge economy and universities. It is all about when you see that it is the knowledge generations and acquisitions, sharing and distribution, the transmission and sharing, and consumption. So this is all about knowledge economy. So when it is happening, the quality of knowledge and the size of the thinking, the quality of knowledge, and the use of this knowledge in various no, the jobs which are related to the economy, how it is actually happening. So there we need to look at even some extent a kind of competitive orientation, and we have to identify how it is going to become a competitive advantage at the institutional level, or even at the national level or international level. So it is the time even no, we need to compete with the internationally, because we know that the competitive advantage, the human knowledge and human the skills and intellectual capital, how it is giving advantage for an organization. Similarly, for a nation also, the youth and our youth knowledge resources supposed to be very competitive and better than our counterparts like China even other nations. So then only we can see that. So we are, we are going to just overtake, and then we are just, going beyond our, the competitors in terms of, achieving our, the future targets. So in that context, we can see that the students and then their families and the private firms and then public institutions and then the communities. So they're supposed to play the major role with the different orientations. So these are all the certain, introductory, the dimensions that I want to touch. So to create a kind of context, so why we need a kind of leadership orientation among the academicians, starting from our economy. So looking at our educations, looking at the nature of our economy in terms of knowledge society, knowledge economy, and then education status, and then the universities in the knowledge economy, how they're supposed to restructure and reorient, that may be B school or that may be college or even the universities or institutions. So they need to look at the complete, the surrounded, the developments, and then the given the target supposed to be behind us in formulating the curriculum or even developing the pedagogy. So all these supposed to be interlinked, and then we need to work, and then so our core academic activities supposed to be sensitive towards all these dimensions. So this is the first part. So when I look at the second part, the second part is all about, you can just click the next one, right? The second part is all about entrepreneurial universities. So that means universities, how they can become a kind of entrepreneurial universities. And we know that, so as far as the practice is concerned from across, and some of the literature also is formulated on the different types of universities. So when you look at the three types of universities, three generation universities, first generation universities largely the focusing on the teaching and learning and issuing the degrees. So among the aspirants. So that is the first generation universities. The second generation university is the teaching and learning and preparing aspirants for the various the jobs, and ensuring their placement as per their ambition, and then as per their the career plan. So that is the second generations. When I look at the third generation is the teaching and learning and preparing the aspirants to become entrepreneurs. So that is the third generation. So if you look at the world, the ranking universities, so who are actually in the within the 100 ranking. So in that 100 ranking, the best universities and institutions, if you look at their curriculum and their teaching and learning process, their outcome, and then where they are and what they are doing, you'll find that you can just put them under these three classifications. When I look at these three classifications of universities, the first generation, it is just only admitting and then confined to the teaching and learning process, and then conducting the examinations and awarding the degrees. So we have to look at so where we are, and then so how we can just move to the second level or even third level, or from second level to third level, and then beyond that how we can move, so in the given circumstances. And this here also we have to look at from the leadership perspective, right? So when I see the next slide, so next slide is all about idea of entrepreneurial universities. So what is actually the entrepreneurial universities? In the sense I was just briefly explaining in the previous slide, it is all about, in the present context, knowledge becomes a kind of strategic resource in the knowledge economy. That so we all know that, even theory also established very clearly. And even when I was referring various articles and then research papers, so it is clearly mentioned. So that is actually proven, and in the practice also we have been experiencing how various countries are advancing by taking the knowledge as their strategic resources, and then building their economy over and above. So in that context, if you look at the knowledge creation and essential the function of the new creating classes. So if you look at the knowledge creation and then as well as the skill development, so keeping in mind these, so thanks to the present government which came out with the new education policy, national level new policy 2020. So that is clearly focusing on completely skill development, and at the same time the entire model is to match our education with the international standards and the global the matching with the global the match with the global requirements. So in that way you can see that how actually we are just working in this the particular dimensions. And at the same time, since all the functions of the universities are related to the knowledge creation, knowledge transfer, knowledge the transformations, and then knowledge distribution. So the universities becomes a knowledge intensive organizations with the dominance of the intellectual capital over any other form of physical or capital. So in that context, you can see the education, research, and innovation, how it is happening. So unfortunately, if you look at academic output that is there as a part of our research, and what extent it is really reflecting the policy making. So I think we need to bridge all these things. It is not that we are discussing among all of us. We are just deliberating about what is academic leadership, what is entrepreneurial universities. It is a kind of a collaborative approach, and we all have to the link up all the interrelated the segments, like the policymaker and even industry, or even something bureaucrats. So we all have to work together, and then academic institutions also need to gear up according to the time, and then the situations and contemporary trends. So that is the one dimension. So when I see the next slide, in the next slide, and I would like to just look at one important dimension, that academic capitalism and then leadership. So here I want to see that why leadership is required. Leadership orientation is required among the academicians, and even the leadership orientation is maybe required even individual faculty, or even heads of the departments, or even the students also. When they are sitting inside the class, they're supposed to look at from this the capital the point of view, because so nothing is free. So even if they miss one class, and they have to calculate that how much they are paying, and what is the value of each class in terms of economy, right? So in that, if you just look at the knowledge based economy and its impact on our academic activities, it is completely market oriented. So market driven opportunities for the universities, because universities also supposed to look at from that perspective, and UGC or even the government the agencies which are actually dealing with the education sector, they are also looking at this particular dimensions, and they are asking us to take loans whenever we want to invest in the universities, and they are asking us to generate your own funds and then pay back whenever you are taking any kind of loans. No longer any kind of the free bread, or even kind of free grant from any kind of funding agencies, that may be UGC or even the government. As rightly the madam mentioned in the introductory mark, then the 6% allocated in the GDP. So you can see that now what is that 6%, how it is going to meet the requirements and enable the entire education system to match with the the tasks and then targets of the nation as a whole, right? So this is one important dimension, my dear friends. And then another important thing is, when you look at this particular academic capitalism and the leadership, the specialized knowledge is often no longer simply shared free of charge. So as I mentioned, that everything has got economic value, even our idea has got economic value. So our the contribution from our side as an academician has got some economic value. So those have gone, that's we are the advisors at free of cost. No, it is no longer. So because we have to look at from everything from the point of economy, and then how we are going to generate the revenue or even wealth, the creation out of our intellectual capital as academicians, right? So if you look at the transformation, and it goes like this: the academicians and researchers becomes an entrepreneur or a leaders. The knowledge becomes a product, and then students becomes a kind of customers, as long as they are learners. So once they just they come out with a degree, they are the kind of the products. They have to sell themselves in the open market, and then try to find out their place to work. So this kind of new thought process is required among the academicians. So this kind of chain has been called by Slater and then Lizzie the academic capitalism. So it was actually the academic capitalism. It is not new to all of us, and if you look at the literature, it is there. And then so as per that also, we need to look at how and what extent we are actually tuned ourselves towards this kind of academic capitalism, or even academic entrepreneurship or academic leadership. So this the complete market driven, market oriented the system we need to the generate, and then slowly the nurture and develop in the academic circles, especially in our B schools. We have to come out with that the complete calculations, because the students also very smart. When they are just choosing any kind of B schools, they know that why they are choosing, and it is all about the calculation of how much they are spending and how much the package they are getting as a the placement, and they're just going to calculate all these things ROI. So similarly, as an academicians, we also have to look at and enhance our intellectual capital value on various the streams and then segments. So that is the one important dimensions, right? So further, if I just look at the next slide, my dear friends, and then already our institutions have been geared up, and some of the premier institutions already they started, and then they are in the process of the becoming a kind of entrepreneurial universities and then institutions. So if you look at the Center for Innovative and Incubations and then Entrepreneurship Cell of some of the institutions in our country, so that is already done. And then IIT Bombay also done some kind of developments, and ISB in Hyderabad, so D Labs is there. And then you'll find the various the centers starting from IIT Delhi or even IIT even our Madras, IIT the Chennai. So there you will find a lot of advancements as far as incubation center is concerned, and the IIT the Chennai, this incubation center, and then their activities itself is a big volume, and their involvement and contribution to economy is noteworthy. So in that way, so why can't we just take up that kind of the roles in our economy? So that is one important aspect. So in that, if I just look at the the second part, the second part is all about to realize and understand so why this academic leadership is required in the present context, and then how we can do that. So now just let me look at the third part. That part is all about academic entrepreneurship. How can how an academician can be called as a leader in their academic functioning. So if I look at the next slide, so interestingly, we know that I don't want to explain anything what is entrepreneurship, and we know that the person who is going to identify the opportunity, who is ready to take the risk, and who actually create the wealth. So the same the definition, if you apply for the the academicians is a professor, how a professor is identifying various opportunities, and how a professor is ready to take a risk, how the professor is generating revenue. Say for example, I know some of the professors from IIMs, out of their consultancy the services, they're earning crores of rupees, they're giving more to the institutions, and they're taking less as a salary. So when you look at their share, of course, as a consultancy fees they're getting, and if you look at the consultancy fees share that they're getting, that is more than what they're getting the monthly salary as per the rules and regulations of some of the IIM the requirements, pay scales. So in that way, you can see that so we need to apply this entrepreneurial orientation with the kind of leadership the attributes. So the academician is supposed to look at these particular dimensions. When I see interesting thing, next slide, my dear friends, and I would like to just present this slide with all complete the range of an academician as a leader, how an academic academician, a professor, even starting from assistant professor without any kind of the difference in the layers, that may be assistant professor, associate professor, and the professor, and how an academician can become an individual industry. So this is so I want to just coin in that way. So how an academician can become an individual industry. So I have given the number of avenues to become a kind of industry. So if I look at my room is a kind of my corporate office, right? So I am a kind of CEO of my industry. So I have so many activities as an industry. So if I look at all these things, starting from teaching, research, projects, consultancy, MDP, or even advisor, and then experts for various the bodies, and then publications. Through publications, I can generate revenue, the networking, and then brand image, and then institutional the building and the institutional leadership. So these are the 10 the areas just identified out of my understanding, and with that we can just call, and we can just look at ourselves as an individual industry, as an academician. If I just look at all these one after another, I'm not going to spend much time. Look at the second slide, next slide. The next slide is all about in the present context, when you look at the teaching in the digital age, it is not like our traditional and conventional mode. No longer we have a monopoly with the with the knowledge the sharing experts. So the knowledge or even information is so much available in the internet. So how you can actually create a value in the class before the generation Z. So that is going to be the main important thing. So in that you have to just look at and use all types of digital technology, and then how you can just think before and beyond generation Z, and then create a kind of value in your class, and ensure that you are just going to build a kind of brand and image for yourself as a teacher when you are delivering a talk before your students. So because when you are delivering a talk before the student, see that you have your own unique style, and you are going to develop your own the brand as a professor of so and so, or maybe subject wise, maybe style wise, but your name supposed to be aligned with your subject and then your area of expertise. So that is the teaching. The next one is, if I just look at the next slide, it is all about the research and then research the scholars. So it is all about when you are just looking at your research and the research scholars in terms of the project, in terms of the guiding the scholars, see that your scholars are there across and joining in various academic institutions after completing their PhDs, and you are just spreading in that way. Because so through teaching you are creating a kind of image, and then creating a brand with a unique style by using all types of digital technologies. And when it comes to the research, and take up the research in such a way that so through your research you can become a kind of leader and identify various issues of the society, and then give suggestions, and then resolve find out some kind of solutions for some of the social problems, and then you can foresee the society requirements in the future as a the academic leader. And when you look at your scholars, through your scholars you can just spread your product across, and then in a multiple effect, multiplier effect, so that will be there through your scholars. The next slide is, if I see the research projects. So the research projects, what we can do, so we can just generate a kind of the revenue. At the same time, you can build the academic infrastructure of your the choice and your requirements. So in that way, you can see the research projects an integral part of your academic leadership. Right? Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. So in that way, you can see industry, the government consultancy. You can just give consultancy for industry, or even you can give consultancy for various government the departments, starting from electricity, electrical department, or even some of the the public sector undertakings. So even private sector undertakings. With that, you can see you can become a kind of advisory board members, and you can join in NGOs, and then you can just come out with some kind of impact through your consultancy skills. So at the same time, this consultancy, the network, you can use it for the case studies, and through that you can develop a kind of the revenue through consultancy service, as well as your case study, the preparation, and then even registering cases in various case registration agencies. Next slide, please. Right. So further, the another important dimension is MDP and FDP training programs. You can conduct, you can propose various training programs. Through that, you can just develop the revenue. It is because all these are there now. All these requirements are there. But when and how we are just coming forward and taking initiatives with a leadership orientation, organizing all these, and even as a resource person, you can see you can deliver a talk, or you can organize as a organizer of various the program, and then you can develop industry institute in a network by just conducting these MDP programs. And then so that is also a kind of area for both case studies as well as generation generation of various the funding the sources. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. So advisor and experts. So as I mentioned that you can become public leader. Even sometimes you can become advisors for various the forums, and through that you can just reflect your leadership skills. Next slide, please. Yeah, publications. Publication in the sense, so we know that even today also I was listening to some experts, senior professors from different different sources. So our publications and then our standard of the writing is very low, and even we don't have any kind of impact factor, and even H index, or even our the level of the publication in terms of quality also is not to the mark. So why can't we take up that, and why can't we do that? Is it not that only someone can do from developed countries and even other the foreign countries? Why can't we do that? So this is something what I just look at. I am also with you, so we can just look at that. We need to completely reorient our thought process and then think like a leader, and then come out with your thought process and then ideas to publish the papers with the unique titles and then the methodology. So now the technology is available. So whatever the tools you want to use, and there are a kind of tailor-made the methods and mechanisms are there. We can learn and then we can adapt so quickly. So next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. So academic network, and now you can see the entire world is completely flat. So whomever you want to connect or contact, so that is possible just by using your the various network channels, like starting from email to social media. You can connect the people across in your area. You can develop a kind of wonderful network internationally. So we know that the social capital, how it is actually formed because of this networking. And as a professor, so my strength is my social capital. So how the social capital is created and nurtured, so it depends on my, again, leadership orientations, right? Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. So the brand building, and ultimately what happens, so by all these activities, so what is required by using digital technology and focusing on the quality and then unique style, and then reflecting some kind of teaching attributes and following some kind of values and ethics, and then reflecting the morality on our job, and then ultimately what is required, so academic integrity, and then reflecting our the job in such a way that, so try to develop your own unique the identity by using the media platforms, and then you can build and then develop a kind of brand which is so unique for you with all these things, right? So this is what I just actually look at the brand building for the academicians, right? Next, please. Right, so it's all, so how you are going to use the technology, latest technology, how you are offering various courses, maybe MOOC courses or even online courses, and then getting registration from across the the globe. Now your learners, your audience are not confined to your institute or your country. So entire world is your market now. If you want to just tap the market, or even if you want to create your own market segmentations, you can do that, and then you can just come out and then you can sell your intellectual capital in academicians, and then generate revenue as a leader, right? Next, please. Right, this is my last slide, and then where I just look at institutional the builder or a leader. So in the due course of time, what is required, and while just focusing on our research and teaching and learning and reflecting our leadership qualities, then generating revenue, then creating wealth. It is not at the institutional level, keeping in mind the nation at large. So we have to take up the at the right time various academic administrative leadership, the qualities for further development of the institutions, to enhance the quality and then standards of the institutions. So for like the taking up the projects like which is SAP or even academic funding agencies are dealing with them, and then heading institutions as academic leaders, and then ultimately realizing and fulfilling the ultimate purpose of the academic life, where you can see the leadership is one important segment in the present the context. So if you want to see really a full size of academic life, so we need now leadership orientation, so to reply, right? So with that, let me just stop here, and I have another stop here, and then the last slide is all about one more slide, right? So last slide. Am I with?
No, it's fine.
Next slide. Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And then, so I have just only between 45 minutes I have taken. No, the size of.
Hello? Hello, sir?
Yeah. So in between, just line got
Yeah,
disconnected.
it's okay, sir. I
Yeah,
can,
yeah.
I can understand.
I
Thank
tried
you, sir.
to
Thanks a lot.
manage the time within the given time, right? So this is what I wanted to share with all our friends. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Venkata Rao, sir. It was very, very enriching and a lot of information was given. Sir, I have a few questions given in the chat box. I'll be sharing it with you. Please, if possible, I would like you to answer them. One is, there's one question from the audience saying that, do you think what challenges the present university faces in creating entrepreneurship? This
Yeah.
is the first question. Can I tell the second question also? What can be the role of the regulators in allowing the autonomy of universities to experiment? These are two questions from the audience, and I have one question to you. Very
Okay, madam.
important is yes, we are faculties, okay? When we move to a leadership role, from
Yeah.
faculty role to a leadership role, they need to rediscover their new roles. I think you
Yeah.
agree with me. But
Yes.
during this rediscovering time, do you think we should really reskill and upskill ourselves?
Very
This is first
much.
thing.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
And when you're navigating the change to adapt a widespread point,
mm.
and very important is you can see that, only I would say 10% is government oriented education system and the remaining 90% is
And the
private.
private
Okay, when
system.
you're navigating this change and
Mm.
adapting to a widespread thing, don't you think it's very challenging for the new leaders if they don't have, if they have uncertainty at the higher management level and it is not support? These are two
Yeah.
of my questions.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
madam. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. So now let me just look at three important things here, and the first one is all about how the universities can become entrepreneurial no, universities. So first thing is from the beginning, what I was just looking at. So we have to always look at the contemporary, developments, changes, and future thrust areas. So at the national level. So accordingly, as an academicians, always we need to match our academic exercise with our societal requirements, right? So there, if you look at our economy wants as many as entrepreneurs, right? Economy wants as many as employable resources. So in this context, the universities they have autonomy, right? Let me just mix all these things. University has an autonomy to take decisions in terms of their curriculum, in terms of offering the courses by taking the permission from the appropriate bodies, right? So as far as my job is concerned, teaching and learning, I have a complete freedom. I have a complete freedom. So this supporting system that is there in the universities. So the starting from every university's objectives, missions, and then what is actually the vision of the university. So it's like we need to completely bring the universities like a entrepreneurial model, right? Starting from vision, mission, objectives, and the spreading that across all the teaching and non-teaching communities, aligning everything towards that particular objective. Say, for example, every university has got its own objective. What extent we all employees aware of the university objectives? And what is the vision of the university? Am I aligning my contribution to the mission and vision of the universities? So there it is missing. So this kind of complete restructuring, reorientation is required in the universities, because I have given the three generations universities. So first of all, we have to identify and which generation university we have, right? Is a first generation or second generation or third generation? As I mentioned that there are some institutions, so they are at the third generation level, because so they are preparing the students. Like for example, if you look at IIM Ahmedabad, so they are just creating as many as entrepreneurs, and at the same time they are focusing on placing their students with highest package, right? So that is one kind of contribution. Whereas still we have B schools and then universities, or even some of the institutions where the students they are not at all focusing on any kind of the placement, and just only focus on their examinations and certificates. So they take the certificate and stand on the roadside. So this kind of universities are there. So we have to look at our universities, where they are, what is the present their status in the given economy, and how they're supposed to the gear up. So for that, NEP now giving the complete autonomy and freedom to restructure their entire curriculum and reorient their teaching and learning process towards the skill development. Right. So this new structure, the new academic environment is emerging, and we all supposed to become a part of that. So, for example, if you look at the Minister of Education, Government of India, so their target is completely training all the the teachers towards sensitizing the teachers towards the NEP, the model of education system. So that education system is aligning and matching with the economy, madam. So universities needs to be restructured, and then at the same time, autonomy that is there, we need to use it for really purposefully. When you look at the leadership is not only the head of the department or head of the institutions. Leadership as an individual, as a teacher. So I supposed to think like a leader to get an ideas and then take risk and come forward with various activities. Teaching and learning is only one process. Teaching is only just one among many. So why can't we just explore all these things and come out with complete the plan? Why don't you become a kind of individual industry? So this kind of the scope and then space is there for teachers, unlike other jobs. Right, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
We have come to the fag end of the presentation. I really deliver my vote of thanks. I thank Dr. Y. Venkata Rao, sir. You have really enriched our knowledge by giving very valuable information. I thank Mr. Sudhir Sharma, the president of AIMS, the treasurer of AIMS, all the board members of AIMS, the secretary of AIMS, and lastly, my dear participants. I thank you all. It was really, really a good session. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thanks
all
a lot. It was really nice
participants
connecting with you, sir.
for
Thank you,
joining
Priya.
and then listening to me. And shall I leave, madam? Shall I leave the room?
Yes, Priya.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank
Thank you. Thank
Priya.
you so much, ma'am. Thank you.